I'm Chloe. I am Head of Merchant Experience here at Pinch. We've done webinars before. I've probably met most of you in passing, had a conversation at an event, done your demo, onboarded you, all your customers. So I think I'm a fairly familiar face here now, a bit of a part of the Pinch staples, and we've got Emily here as well. So Emily, a lot newer to Pinch, but not new to this kind of industry, especially looking after accountants and bookkeepers and being an accountant herself. But Emma's also in the customer success vertical. So you may have also engaged with Em so far in your journey too, or so far in her journey, and that'll continue to happen over time. And as a little sneak peek, we also have a special guest here, Rachel, who will be talking about the surcharging ban that is coming into effect on the 1st of October. So when we hand over to Rachel, I'll let her give a little insight on her background, who she is, where she's from, and why she knows what she knows, to help you guys out on the next steps of this journey when it comes to surcharging. So let's jump into it. This is our agenda for today. So we'll give you a bit of a general Pinch update, talk you through some things that we've been doing out in the wild, sink our teeth in, talk about the surcharging ban, and then also wrap it up with everyone's favourite activity on the horizon, the end of financial year. So let's jump into it. Em.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks, Chloe. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I know there are a lot of deadlines and the rest of it coming up, especially in the accounting and bookkeeping space. So for those of you that are here, thank you. And for those of you that are watching online, again, that is awesome. As Chloe mentioned, we wanted to give you a couple of updates about where we've been and where we're going at the moment just for this year. And as you can see on the screen, there is a whole bunch of, photos of different events that we have attended so far. And it's only, the start of May. So we're starting the year with a bit of a bang. As you can see on screen, there are a list of everywhere that we have been. One of the standout ones for me particularly was the Accounting and Business Expo up in Sydney a couple of months back. We shared the stage with Anisha, and it was great just to speak to everybody that was there. It was a 2-day event. We had this awesome custom stand, and it was great just to, get in front of everybody, do a bit of real life chatting. We speak so much on screens these days, just as a byproduct of a lot of our jobs. So it was awesome to, jump out, chat to a whole bunch of people. I think that's something that really resonates with me. I love just getting in front and having conversations in real life rather than only over email and the rest of it too. So hopefully that was a benefit for you guys too. And if you did see us, it was awesome to catch up. Now, as well as in-person events, we did a whole bunch of webinars, especially with a couple of apps that we work really closely with, being OnBoardMe and also Anisha. And if nobody here knows, we also released a podcast. So down the bottom there, we have it in nice bold writing, the PMID podcast, which is Pinch Me, I'm Dreaming, which is so fun. But there's been, how many episodes, Chloe? Probably about 5 or so episodes released already, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they usually get released every second Thursday, I believe. So I think we've got 4 or 5 done, and then I think 5 or 6 is going to be published this week. And we also got a little sneak peek into who the next guests are that Joe will be interviewing next round of podcasts. And it's definitely going to be really exciting, not just for us, but all the people that are tuning in. So if you've listened to Joe talk, if you've been part of the Pinch ecosystem for a long time and been part of our community for a while, you know that Joe is such a fantastic, engaging speaker, and he really gets so much value out of the people that he interviews. So even when we were at ABE, it obviously took some good traction that naturally you can see in the second image across at the bottom that they were able to stumble upon and find the perfect podcast setting for an interview with Shathia. So it seems to just naturally be taking some good momentum and is definitely a valuable piece. If you've got, each episode's under an hour, so if you've got a little bit of time to do a little bit of a listen, I'd definitely plug the podcast as something to listen to. It's on all the platforms that you would typically access podcasts on.
Yeah, and we'll have to check about Apple Podcasts as well, Brendan. I was under the impression that it was, but let us get back to you there. A few of the recent ones, we have to check that. But yeah, a
I'm
few of
an
the
Apple
recent
girl
ones,
through and through. I should know that.
love it. We had Trent speak about all things AI and the rest of it, and then Shay speaking about, I guess, her experience with growing her own brand and business and being in the industry too. So they've all been really great conversations. So yeah, definitely would recommend you check that out. But yeah, we'll search harder. It may not be you, Brendan. It may be us. So we'll get back to you there.
I'm hopeful that it's not. Maybe search the full term Pinch Me, I'm dreaming.
Yeah, you've got to make sure that there's the comma in the middle of it as well, which is always a bit of fun. Awesome. Love it. But brilliant. Yeah, that was pretty much everything with our update, but maybe we should chat a little bit about where or what we're up to next. So you'll see a very excited photo of me there, and that sort of represents how I feel at events. But these are our upcoming events that we're going to be at. So especially for anyone that is in Sydney, Victoria, I know Mornington's not that far away, or up in the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, we are jumping around to some events near you essentially. So we have the CFO Tech Stack in Sydney, which is all for finance leaders and I guess large businesses that operate on Xero that are maybe looking or thinking that ERPs are the next sort of step. The Mayday crew have put together a really cool event there. Actually next week. So it's going to be great to get in the room, talk to all the apps, and I guess learn a little bit more about if you do have large clients that are using Xero, I guess how you can extend the capabilities there. So that is everything on the 13th of May. We also have the Franchising Expo event on the 30th and 31st of May too. So we are busy in May. And yeah, I as you can see down the bottom of that slide, I said we might need a Sydney office at this rate, the amount of times we're in Sydney. But the Franchising Expo will be great, especially if you have any clients that are, I guess, heavy into franchise or heavy franchise clients. So yeah, I guess that's all thing franchisors and franchisees at that expo as well. And then a little bit later, we have the Byte Business Conference in Mornington. That is a really cool local event that we've sponsored, I guess, previous years too. So excited to be back for that one. And last but certainly not least, just for our webinar at the moment, there is a few extra events coming, but we also have the Bookkeeper event in the Sunshine Coast, and we love supporting, I guess, the bookkeeper community here at Pinch. So very, very excited to be on board for that one in October. Is anyone actually that's in the chat, is anyone going to any of these events too? Fingers crossed we get to see a couple of you at least.
And maybe crickets, we'll just have to make sure, one, that we attend more virtual events. And two, if you guys actually hold webinars, virtual events, maybe you guys come together with a certain community, don't be shy. Flick us a message, invite us, because we're more than happy to engage and talk. Em from the last Pinch Partner webinar was given a customer message that was one of the Pinch partners and said, hey, would love for you to come to this event local to you. So Em was actually able to go out in the wild and interact with a community of people that meet frequently to discuss, anything that they needed to discuss in terms of payments. So it's not just box to what we've already got in the works, what we've engaged in, what we've got momentum on. You can absolutely reach out at any point in time if you want us to engage with your community. It's so easy to make ourselves virtually available and physically if it's in the right location. So I'm based in Brisbane, Em's based in Melbourne. So if there is something local that you are facilitating or you're a part of and you want to connect us with the right people, definitely do those introductions, because quite often it's actually hard for us to say no, because we're suckers with engaging with all of you.
We've got rubber arms for events, haven't we, Chloe?
We really do.
Love it.
All right, so amongst all the Pinch updates, I kind of just wanted to plug our social team has grown a lot. So not only do we have, a marketing manager, a content creator, a community partnerships manager now, we have really increased our presence online. So when it comes to things even as simple as a Google review, a Xero App Store review, reviews on any platforms, we're really shining a light on those now. So if you do want to review us, please add some comments online to the services that you use. I definitely want to invite you guys to follow, comment, and engage on the social platforms. So we are treating them all a little bit differently, like all businesses do. So our TikToks are a bit more fun, just to kind of get you guys excited and see the human side of Pinch Payments. Our Instagram and Facebook, we operate a little bit differently, and our Facebook user community exists, and really like investing a lot more love back into that. So there are definitely avenues that we would love for you guys to participate more in, so that we can make it more lively, more engaging, and get some more momentum in that space and give the people what they really want.
We're all about giving people what they want, hey?
Yeah. We've already plugged this, but the Pinch Me, I'm Dreaming podcast episodes, I would love for you to listen to them, and also engage with us. I know that I say here, if you're interested in filming a customer testimonial, so we are launching that series in a new format soon. We've already recorded a really cool one. I won't tell you who it is. You can stay tuned for that. But if you think that you would love not only for us to engage with you guys and do a client testimonial, come on site, do some engagements. If you really think you've got a good story to tell, maybe about your business journey and what you've achieved, or a use case of yours, or something that you're a subject matter expert in, and you think, you know what, like this goes hand in hand with maybe Pinch's why, and you really want to like uncover the layers of that and have maybe a podcast episode. The options are endless. So if you really think you've got something to give, that the people that are out in the social communities, absolutely connect with us. We'll have a chat. We'll jump on a call. We'll get the right people in there, and I think from there we will be able to, really maximize your impact in the community if that's something you want to participate in. Did I miss anything, Em?
I think you covered absolutely everything. I've chucked our Facebook page in, but I think I've actually just chucked the Pinch Payments Facebook page in. So let me find the actual user group. And I've also asked our team if PMID is on Apple Podcasts. So Brendan, stay tuned there.
Brilliant. But yes, we are always on the hunt for a guest. I feel like all of our partners, everyone I've ever engaged with, has had such a fantastic story to tell. And I'd just love to get that on the stage and get more people to listen to it. I think, we've got some really beautiful stories here. I'd love for that to be shared across the masses.
Amazing. We are on Apple Podcasts as well. I've just been informed. So the link is in the chat, Brendan. I can see you've got a cheers.
Thanks, Em. That was wildly efficient of you.
So efficient.
All right. Now, it is 1:00. Let's jump into the meaty part of our partner webinar this time. So obviously, we don't usually have big conversational, momentous topics that occur every quarter, which is probably a great thing for all our partners and every user of Pinch and everyone in the community and everybody that needs to pay for things. But the RBA have obviously made a massive announcement, which people feel like there's a lot of impact and a lot less clarity on. So our goal today was to invite someone onto this webinar who really understands the RBA, how they operate, the history of surcharging, and how we've got here, essentially, to really do a little bit of a background and a little bit of a, educational piece on the big old surcharging ban. So I will hand over to our Rachel, who is our special guest. Rachel, can you give us a little bit of an overview of what your job title is, who you work for, and I guess maybe a little bit about your past?
Absolutely. I will try and filter my past, make it free. So thank you. Absolute honour to be here. And look, I will give a bit of a background on myself and how I've kind of got into talking about the RBA's recent surcharge ban. But I would like today to be very interactive. I will be asking a few questions of the people who are part of the webinar. So I'm really looking for some audience participation here. But firstly, about myself. So I've been in the payment industry for about 15 years now. Self-confessed payments geek, but I will keep that on the down low. So part of my role, I work for Fiserv. Pinch Payments is part of that glorious organization. And part of the team that I work with is Clover. So Clover is we provide merchant payment solutions from card present to card not present. But today is not to talk about those particular solutions. Today is to really talk about surcharge ban. Now, first of all, can I just get some feedback from everyone who's listening as to whether they have heard about the surcharge ban and whether they are understanding what it means, either to themselves or to their customers? I shall wait patiently whilst everyone types.
Yeah, whilst you wait patiently, I think the most interesting conversations I've had is people seeking clarity on who the payer is in these circumstances. So I got a lot of questions as soon as it was announced saying, well, then how does Pinch charge their customers, which are our merchants, after the surcharging ban? And it's just more of a labeling issue. So our Pinch customers are merchants, and merchants cannot charge their payers paying for their services for this. So I think Rachel's had some technical issues. She should be back here any moment. But that seemed to be, and a lot of those questions came from SMBs, so not big organizations, but those little mum and dad businesses or those solo operators that really kind of came into this big announcement and didn't really know the terminology of, who is what in the pecking order and how things operate. So, Rachel, welcome back.
Apologies. I seem to have had some kind of technical difficulties there. So
that's okay. I held it down for you. Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay. Can everyone hear me? Oh, you can. Excellent. Okay, so let me give you a bit of a history first of all. So surcharging, and if you know this, fantastic, but I always think it's good to start from the very beginning and then we're all on the same page there. So surcharging is the ability to pass on card payments or card processing payments onto the consumer by way of adding the percentage on top of what goods and services are being charged to the consumer. So that first came about in 2003, and the Reserve Bank of Australia brought this into play because they wanted to reduce the cost of acceptance for small business, basically. So this is more of an impact for small business rather than larger enterprises. So what they thought was, so that's debit and credit cards. So what they said was, in the original surcharge, you can pass on interchange, scheme fee, merchant service fee, and also the terminal fee onto the price of whatever good or a service that you're selling. But what happened over a period of time is, as card payments became more popular, they created greater complexity. So when they first brought out the idea, they thought it would create transparency. They would see what the true cost of acceptance was. But what happened was it created more confusion for the consumers. Then if you overlay that with how they're trying to move away from cash and trying to get people to pay more on credit and debit cards, But then they were also passing on higher costs to the consumer. That's when they received a lot of complaints through the ACCC. So over the past 2 years, the RBA have gone out to the industry requesting feedback as to how to deal with this. About 6 weeks ago, the Senate held an inquiry and they asked industry leaders such as the schemes, so the schemes are Visa, MasterCard, they asked the ASIC, Apple, and a lot of the issuing banks to attend, and it was 7 hours. I listened to most of it. I found it interesting, but I'd imagine a lot of people probably fall asleep. But it was quite interesting listening to how the RBA interacted with the industry and what they were looking to do. So they were looking, if you think about the Australian payments infrastructure, a lot of money has been put into the new payments platform. But can you believe there's only about 10% of businesses actually using that for business payments? So the amount of money that has gone into that infrastructure, they're actually looking to find ways to provide easier ways for small business to be able to accept to account payments via NPP. So I know at the moment EFTPOS are in conversation with the RBA to talk about how they can open that up more for businesses. There are providers out there who provide account-to-account payments via physical devices, EFTPOS devices like account-to-account payments via QR codes. So the industry is shifting to more cheaper payment options. But what that means today, so a couple of weeks ago, the RBA announced the ban on debit surcharging on Visa, MasterCard and EFTPOS cards. They are still reviewing banning surcharge for Amex, Discover, Union Pay. They're looking at what that means kind of in the next few months. So it may be that they also ban surcharging on those particular cards as well. So that will occur from the 1st of October. So now is the time for businesses to kind of prepare, and how they will, absorb the cost or whether they will pass it on through increasing the prices of their good or service. And interestingly enough, I was interested to, and given the audience, I was interested to hear some feedback from businesses as to how when the surcharge ban comes into play from the 1st of October, businesses will try to find ways to reduce the cost rather than passing it on to the consumer, but then they fall into another problem, which is eroding their margin. So it would be interesting after you've given it a bit of thought as to how businesses could actually get some kind of offset against cost of goods sold or whatever it might be to actually stop the margin leak. Are there any questions so far? Let's have a look at the chat.
It'd be interesting to hear as well from everyone how they are maybe advising their clients, or if they're still in a bit of a discovery stage. Like if a client comes to you and talks about this now, how they're having to absorb any fees that they're passing on. What are you guys saying to your clients? Like, feel free to chuck it in the chat, but it would even be interesting to hear your perspectives too. My assumption is that most people are just going to be adding like an admin fee into their service. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what everyone else thinks.
Absolutely. And what I'll do after this as well, if anyone does enter that in the chat, is
do you need more clarity on some of the points that I discussed? Yeah, Emily, was there anything that you wanted me to run through in a bit more detail?
I was just interested in, I guess, if everybody in the chat or like how they're advising their clients at the moment too. But yeah, maybe off the back of the conversations that come through. Yeah, I can see, Stacey, most clients can't absorb the cost, so prices will go up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is,
you know, this is my own humble opinion here, but you know, the RBA set out originally that they wanted to provide more transparency for the consumers so that they could pay, you know, choose the best payment option for themselves. Now, taking, you know, in order to, with the outcome that they would essentially reduce the cost. But what they've effectively done is they've removed that transparency, and businesses are going to have to find some way of, you know, either absorbing or passing on the cost. Ultimately, businesses are going to have to up their prices, otherwise it impacts their overall margin. So I'm not sure what the future holds for this, whether it will turn back on itself or they do a, you know, something where there's a break-even point for both the consumer and the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. There is one thing.
So is everyone familiar with interchange, scheme fee, and merchant service fee? I talked at a recent business event on this particular subject and presented a slide which basically broke down all of these three things, and then I'd realized that people had had a few glasses of wine and I wasn't sure how that was going to come across, but I think you can bear with me if you're interested in learning more about how the fees are kind of broken down. Stacey, okay, I'm also worried that all the merchant facilities will charge more in subscription fees. Stacey, can you clarify what you mean by subscription fees? I think acquirers are still trying to determine what this means for merchants and the best way to provide the transparency, because one of the things that the RBA have stipulated is that acquirers need to, so acquirers are payment providers where you get your card not present, card present solutions from. And the RBA have put out to the industry that they need to provide more transparency and better reporting to merchants. So everyone, you know, within the industry, banks, anyone providing a merchant facility has to publish their fees on their website so merchants can actually see what they'd be paying for. Also, there's going to be more transparency around how payments are made as well, because at the moment there's a lot of providers out there who have done fee-free merchant facilities where they have basically combined all of the costs into a blended rate, and then that blended rate is then passed on to the consumer. So now that is not potentially a sensible way, and it's certainly not in line with the surcharge reform. They'll have to rethink that. So Catherine, I agree with Stacey on that concern as well. Some merchants charge a facility fee, which is monthly. Is that the device fee, which is paid monthly? But I think often we pay a monthly fee to have some programs, plus we pay surcharge fees separately. So if merchants can't charge the fees to us, they will increase their monthly subscription fee. Yeah. I think there's a little bit of tough love in this to some degree. You know, the industry has obviously been pushing to put more payments onto credit and debit cards. The benefit of that is obviously you don't need to, you know, if you've got a traditional retail store, you don't have to go to the bank as much to deposit cash. You know, a lot of it is done via credit and debit cards now. So that was always the push. But then obviously you've got you've got the cost of accepting those payments. So there's always been the cost there, but it's then who in the chain pays for it. So now it's kind of double back again, and it's the business who has to pay, but ultimately it's the consumer who, you know, if you are increasing your fees, it's still the consumer who pays. It's just a different way of how that is approached. The only thing I can say, Catherine and Stacey, is you're also in a position of power. There are many payment providers out there, and they are offering different solutions, a lot of value. I'm talking more around card present and card not present solutions here. And it's an opportunity for you to assess your own business and see where the value sits for your own business. So I think, you know, from what I've been seeing out there in the industry with other payment providers, it's probably too soon for them to be talking about what they're going to be doing as a business, because it was only really announced about 3 weeks ago. So they're still really trying to understand and interpret what the RBA surcharge ban actually means and what the overall impact is to the business, and then what it means in terms of transparency. So I would say you've got until October. I would have a look around to see what works best for your business. Stacey, for some clients with complex online stores, changing payment gateways is not that easy. Yeah, I understand that as well. Yeah, I can well imagine that changing. I've had my own business as well, and I used to have an online gateway, and it was very complex to set up. So I do understand that. Can I ask what kind of business you're in, Stacey? Because if anyone would like to talk to the Clover team about what solutions we can offer on a card present or key e-commerce platform, you're welcome to connect with me as well.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Stacey. Yeah, Stacey's an accountant. Rachel,
Yeah.
one of our accounting clients.
Yes.
So many verticals.
Okay.
Many.
Yeah.
All industries. Right. Okay. Yeah. Without really understanding what kind of gateway you're working with, but I'm happy, you know, via Emily. If you think we can help you with anything, please let me know. Any other questions or queries? Our clients won't be able to absorb the costs, so prices will go up, which seems strange to my logical brain. Yeah, I understand.
Can I talk to this point though, just quickly? I don't know if you can hear me, Rachel, so you might talk over me. But when a customer has a
I think as we I think the RBA basically, the way that there are different things that they're trying to do to reduce the cost. So surcharging is one piece, but they've also reached out to card issuing banks to try to reduce the interchange, because, you know, if you look at the fees across different card issuers, you could be paying anywhere between 40 basis points to 2.5%, depending on what type of card you're accepting. So they're trying to, Visa and MasterCard in particular have a small business program. MasterCard have come out with a capped rate of 28 basis points across all industries. So it doesn't matter whether you're accepting a a corporate card or just a standard EFTPOS card, it's 28 basis points. So there's cost saving there. So over the next few months, I think you'll be hearing a lot more from such as EFTPOS, Visa, MasterCard, and the RBA to try and help small business to reduce the overall cost. So I get exactly what you're saying, Stacey, but they are trying to reduce down the cost a little bit. So you're not passing on 1.5% or 2% anymore. It should be a much less fee than that. And I like the love hearts there. And Chloe's saying, we'll talk to what Pinch is up to in this space when Rachel wraps up. Okay. Well, if anyone wants to connect with me, I am sharing more updates on LinkedIn just in relation to the surcharge ban. Feel free to connect with me. If there's no more questions, then I will pass back to Chloe. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, so I do want to talk to a couple of things just to wrap up what Rachel's been talking about. I've posted in the chat that Joe wrote an article a very long time ago. And in this article, he actually wrote about how customers or payers actually will not really pay for stuff if they see that surcharge line. So case in point, if you raise an invoice to a customer through Pinch, that's $1,500. They click that invoice to pay it and say with that surcharge line, it comes to $1,650. They go, oh, screw this, I'm not paying it. And they actually abandon that checkout process of them actually paying for that invoice. So if you spoke to the same customer and said, what if the invoice was $1,650? They'd probably just pay it because I just think that was the cost of the service that they got. So in terms of, it is a really hard shift for us, but if you're operating a business, the payer mentality really doesn't change in this unless they get exposed to some negative media, right? But you've just got to control the narrative. With the economy, with everything else that's happening that the RBA is in control of, obviously there's going to be some wider impacts. People are going to see costs inflating across things. But in terms of what we're doing now, is, look, we still have time on our side. This is a fairly new piece of information. So obviously from October 1st, we're going to have to turn off surcharging in Pinch. However, in terms of the fees that our customers are paying, like Rachel said, there's a lot of information that still has to be passed down the chain from Visa, from MasterCard, from the banks as to what those fees that they pass on. So Rachel talks in basis points. That typically translates very, very, very high level simple terms to cents. So, the transaction and all of the fees associated to that will get passed down allegedly are going to be capped. The RBA has said that the banks, etc., have to cap them. So if that cap does happen, then obviously we will pass that cap on, which would lower those fees. So definitely watch this space. You all should be subscribed to all of our communications that go out. So whenever there is an update, we will be passing that on to you. But with end of financial year coming up, I did write this slide and I definitely want to invite you to even refer your customers to book a chat in with Em or myself so that we can talk about how they currently surcharge, what that looks like for them, and potentially what changes they can make now to be ahead of the curve. Because if they do, start the new financial year with a new pricing alignment in the services that they offer that considers absorbing that surcharge, then come October 1st, their customers are already in that nice momentum of paying that New Year's rate. So there's definitely things that we can do to help existing customers, new customers, and whatnot to really get them functional and not losing money and not eating into their profits or all their hard work that they're doing based off this decision. So I'm more than happy for you guys to get in touch and even refer new customers to us that want to explore this a little bit more or want to explore automating their payments. We're here, we're very personable, we're payments technology by real people, so we can take care of the demos, the unpacking onboarding, and laying the foundations to get paid on time. I'll just read the chat quickly. Is there anything you want to talk to, Em, that you've seen in the chat?
We hear you, Stacey, in terms of like your clients, they would have heard about the RBA surcharge and they're probably asking you questions and you're probably like, geez, there's enough on my plate in terms of tax deadlines, AML stuff and the rest of it. So, and then, yeah, I guess the comment about it's just like a chicken and the egg, or like what price will it be versus like what is actually October going to look like. So it is tricky out there. We'll try and update you as much as we can in terms of what's coming down the line on our side of things. But yeah, I hear you. It's a bit frustrating. Also love your comment, Brendan, too. You wear the fees if your customers connect via direct debit. That is something that, yeah, heaps of our clients do, because at least it gets them on board. It gets them kind of in that pre-approval motion, and then, yeah, you're getting paid on time every time if those details are being collected. Like, I guess if you can charge your clients when the invoice falls due every time. So yeah, all good stuff in the chat, Chloe. All good stuff in the chat.
Yeah, really good stuff. Really good ways to really explore the issue. It's really hard when customers do. I like how my last line in this webinar is stop getting paid like it's 2005, and then an announcement like this happens, and everybody's like, "Oh, what's your bank details? I'll just transfer you like it is 2005." So, you know, I guess that the hard thing is that the payer just sees the fee, right? Whereas with us, with you guys, you see that means you have to manually reconcile, and you have to keep an eye on your bank feed, and you have to do this and you have to do that. And it's just not as bloody easy as just having a system take care of it. So the real cost of like an EFT payment versus something like a pinch payment is, you know, the cost is the admin or the time that you have to spend and the trust that you have to also give them, because you're losing control of your cash flow when you hand that to them and you let them manage that situation. So definitely, I think doing that carrot kind of dangle in the meantime that Brendan speaks of, where in current state and pinch, you can either decide to pass on fees for one or both types of transactions, giving your customers the option and saying, hey, if you put BSB and account number in, I'll absorb the fees for that. I'll wear that. But if you decide to pay for card in the meantime, you can wear that. And it's just a soft migration into, you know, the world that's going to exist post October 1st. But you're really going to also not only avoid the EFT grossness that happens, because you look at this list in the chat, you don't have time to manage this at all. So it really just, it gets rid of that, and it just keeps you being in control of your payments, and also warms them up to, you know, a post-October world.
Yeah. And I guess just the last thing as well, Pinch will be compliant by October. So you like if you're using Pinch, or you have customers that are using Pinch, there's nothing that you have to actually do before that date. So hopefully that's a little bit of peace of mind as well.
But if you do have anxiety, like you said, yeah, too hard basket till after, you know, 15th of May.
15th May.
Warranted. Absolutely warranted. If the communications that we send out intermittently once we get new information, or your anxiety does creep up and you want to have a conversation, Stacey, book in with Emily. You know, you guys can have a chat at any time to work through some things, work through your customer scenarios, collaborate with Rachel if Rachel's got some insights that Em can share to help, you know, those fringe cases or those abstract use cases, and how they can kind of migrate into this post-October world. You've got us to lean on. So please, please, please lean on us. But yeah, like Em said, rest assured, Pinch is compliant. Pinch will be compliant, and we've got your back, and we will make sure that we communicate and give you guys all the resources you need for a successful migration. Even if that means, like I say here, that we take care of everything, we're more than happy to do that. You know, Pinch is our world. We live and breathe it every day. So we're more than happy to help you, all your customers, through this process, regardless if it's just setting up for a new financial year or even beyond. I mean, we're here.
How good. Did we take the whole time this time as well?
We did. We didn't run early. We didn't have to break into dance or something to fill some time. So what a successful call. Like I said, don't be a stranger. Email us, contact us, reach out to us, book a chat with us. engage with us on socials. Ask the hard questions. We really don't mind. We just want to make sure that you guys definitely feel the calm amongst the chaos when it comes to everything that you're being exposed to this time of year.